What is going on, guys? Smooth Racing here, back with another video, and today then we've got another episode of Top 5 Friday. And today then our Top 5 countdown will be the top 5 greatest drivers of all time. So then before I start this countdown, I would like to give notable mentions to Niki Lauda, James Hunt, Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso, Fittipaldi. There's a whole long list of names, but obviously I can't mention them all. They were all very great drivers, but sadly they did not make my top 5. But yep, let's get on with then the countdown. So in at number 5 then is Jim Clark for Great Britain, and he was a natural talent in Formula 1. You know, he won 25 times from just 72 starts. He was such a natural talent. He was just naturally fast. He was a great racer, a great qualifier. He got 33 poles, actually more than he won, but loads of fastest laps. He led 43 of the 72 races that he took part in, and that is pretty impressive. He won 2 World Championships in 1963 and 1965 over his 9 years in F1, and sadly, of course, that date, the 7th of April 1968, where his life sadly was cut short, and also his racing career, and possibly could have gone on to win a lot more championships. You know, such a dangerous era that he raced in, and he was just one of the many unlucky ones not to survive it. So that's why, you know, due to natural talent and winning 2 championships and 25 wins, Jim Clark is at number 5. So moving on then to number 4 in our countdown, and it is Juan Manuel Fangio, the legend from Argentina. He also, like Jim Clark, had 9 years in F1, but had an amazing 5 World Drivers titles from 1951, 1954, 1955, 1956, 1957. So obviously there you can see that he won 4 World Championships in a row, plus that 1951. So very early era in Formula 1, certainly a very dangerous era. And he was certainly one of the lucky ones to survive it and reap the rewards of a very good car at times, but he always knew which, you know, team to drive for. From the likes of Maserati to Ferrari, he always knew which car was going to be the best, and he took maximum potential out of those cars on his way to winning 5 World Championships, which is very impressive. And maybe, you know, if F1 would have been invented in the 40s, he might have even got more championships. So very impressive from a man who won 24 Grand Prix and took 29 pole positions. Moving on then to number 3 in our countdown, getting down to the extremely good drivers, and it is Alain Prost, the Professor from France. You know, he had 199 starts for enough, and he had 51 wins from 33 pole positions. So he wasn't always known for his qualifying performance, but by heck, he was a fantastic racer. He was brilliant at managing tyres, he was brilliant at overtaking, he was brilliant racecraft. You know, he had the toughest opponents probably in the history of Formula 1, the likes of Senna, Lauda and Mansell, but boy did he match up to them and mostly beat them. I mean, he got 4 World Championships, 1985, 1986, 1989 and 1993. 3 of those were with McLaren and then 1 with Williams. In that kind of perfect year that was his last, that's kind of summed up what Alain Prost was in that 93 year with Williams. That was just brilliant, a brilliant way for Prost to end his career. Obviously that was his comeback year, but just that sole year, and he did an amazing job, certainly in 93. And of course, yeah, he's still alive today. Of course, he didn't have that successful time at Prost Grand Prix, but he's a great ambassador for Formula 1 and a great role model from what young drivers can look forward to. And that's why Alain Prost then is at number 3 in our countdown. But let's move on then to number 2. And it is Michael Schumacher, the legend, the person who's won the most World Drivers titles, and that's why he is in our top 5 countdown. That's undeniable. I don't think there's one single person who could say this man can't be in any top 5 list of greatest drivers of all time. He won in his Benetton years. He won 94 and 95, and then of course that dominant 5-year period at Ferrari. Obviously where he won. He did actually drive for Ferrari in 96, 7, 8 and 9, but then of course he struck lucky and drove a brilliant car, of course, but he was such a good racer, such a brilliant driver. He fully deserved to win all of those 7 titles. He could have been controversial at times, but he was such a pure, natural born. He'd do anything to win, and he's such a strong urge to win from Schumacher. And of course, he had 306 starts, which is the most of anyone in this top 5 countdown. But he got 91 wins. That's a record for Formula 1. That's very impressive. 68 poles. He didn't always win from pole position. That was quite good to see with Schumacher. And he really had to fight for it, especially in 2001 and 2003. And obviously, of course, his years at Benetton. Very difficult times, but he came through, and he really, was very successful at Ferrari. After some, he didn't just jump into a very good car. He had to struggle with the 96, 97, 98 and 99, and it could have even possibly been 8 world titles if he wouldn't have broken his leg at Silverstone in 99. But then, the moment you've all been waiting for, and I'm sure you can probably guess who is at number 1, the one name I haven't mentioned. He's Brazilian and goes by the name of Ayrton Senna, a true F1 legend. He is, in my opinion, the greatest driver of all time. From just 161 starts, that's nearly half of Schumacher's. He won 41 times, got 80 podiums, 65 pole positions. He qualified on the front row 87 times, had 19 fastest laps, and led 86 races. Extremely impressive from Senna, and possibly he could, have been got more World Drivers' titles if he wouldn't have had that fatal day on May the 1st, 1994 at Imola. And it was a very sad day for Formula 1. That was a great loss because he was, probably, it's definitely, in my opinion, the greatest driver of all time. Just brilliant racecraft tyre. He was just so good to watch, and I love watching him back in the classic races. He got, just very impressive CV. Brilliant racer. And probably the greatest shame ever in Formula 1 not to see him progress even further. I know then you can leave your top 5. Do you agree with it? Which bits do you agree with and disagree? You can leave your top 5 down in the comments. I'll look forward to reading them. And you can also let me know which top 5 should I do next week. But I've been Smooth Racing, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.